Hashtag Shred Nation. Welcome back. Welcome to Tuesday. Welcome to a beautiful summer morning here in the Pacific Northwest where I'm located. How's everybody doing? Hope you guys are doing well. So we got episode 21 of the School of Shred. This is your daily hit of holistic health and fitness. That's exercise, that's nutrition, and that's lifestyle. Because through getting in shape, we can create a better life outside of the gym and that whole realm. So if you guys are watching this live, I want you to go ahead and jump on. Tell me where you're at. Throw it in the comments. Let me know where you guys are located. Where's Shred Nation at? Before we get into today, I just want to share with you guys the show schedule. And that is every day, 9 a.m., I am here with the one and only School of Shred. 9 a.m. Monday through Friday. Okay, that's Holistic Health and Fitness Podcast here at 9 a.m. You can watch it live. You can catch replays on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, the podcast app, and Spotify. The school is everywhere. It is all over. YouTube channel is The School of Shred. If you search the podcast and Spotify apps, it's also The School of Shred. IG is my business, John Reed Fitness. And then Facebook, had to rename that John Reed Fitness OG because I lost my old account and somebody else took my name. So, episode 21. Shred test approved cardio. Who wants to burn fat? If you want to burn fat and you're listening to this right now, we got some good stuff for you here today. What I want to do is get into really, why is there this notion that cardio burns fat? What does it do? If you've been wondering that, this is a very common question with clients that I get is how much cardio should I do? What kind of cardio should I do? Should I do it fasted? Should I do it fed? There's a lot of back and forth out there, and I want to try and just give you guys some quick takeaways in this episode so you can go start to make decisions that are going to better your health today. So the first thing that we'll get into here is how does cardio help us lose fat? So let's kind of just touch on how it actually helps us burn fat and why we would even use it, what its application would be in a fat burn setting. And that is that cardio burns calories, which can create a calorie deficit. Okay, so I've talked about before that we want to be in a deficit for the week. And so we want this average caloric deficit. And that means for the week, you're going to expend so many calories and you want to actually consume less calories. And that will create this deficit, which will help you lose weight, help you lose body fat. If it's calculated the right way, you're going to lose about 1% of your body weight a week, but that's a gradient that can change. I mean, everything's a continuum. If you got a lot of weight to lose, you could very well lose a lot of inflammation, as I've discussed. But so cardio in a fat burn setting, if you're actually trying to burn fat on the scale and on your body fat and not just theoretically burn fat while you're walking, you got to take your cardio into account as well as your nutrition, and that's combined what can create this deficit. And so cardio burns calories, which can create a calorie deficit. Now, another thing that I want to get into is it's a little bit more of a thought process I want you to marinate on, and that's cardio can actually lower blood glucose. Okay, and so when cardio lowers blood glucose, it lowers insulin levels. Insulin is one of the main hormones we want to keep in check if we're trying to burn body fat. Okay. It's an anabolic hormone. And the reason it's an anabolic hormone is because it helps us recover, store, but we want to keep it low when fat burn is the goal. And so when we lower blood glucose, we lower insulin. That creates more of this enzyme called hormone sensitive lipase that goes in and breaks down triglycerides, which are your fat stores. It breaks them down and gets them into the energy cycle. And so when we do cardiovascular activity, it can help lower our blood sugar, lower our blood glucose levels. And when we lower our blood glucose levels, anywhere from like 70 to 89, when we're down in there, now we're peaked for fat burning. And so that's a hormonal response that's a huge benefit to cardio that's not talked about a lot. A lot of times we just talk about it as it's a tool to burn calories, which it is. It absolutely is. Really movement is. But really controlling blood glucose and insulin levels and getting that hormone-sensitive lipase up is going to be one of the main ways to get us to just be shredding body fat. That's what we're looking for. And so depending on what type of cardio you do, it can actually help increase insulin sensitivity as well. So what that means is if you guys do, if you lift weights, it increases insulin sensitivity, right? Because when you consume carbohydrates and protein and whatnot, this insulin will elevate, and then it will send these carbohydrates in the muscle. It's like the key that opens the lock to shuttle glucose into the cell. And so when we exercise in a high intensity fashion, that's what increases insulin sensitivity. And so if you were to do something like a high intensity interval training cardio session, that right there would be something that could help increase your insulin sensitivity. And with most of this country, I shouldn't say most, I should say an estimated 1/3, which is a lot of people. That's 114 million people in this country have high blood glucose and low insulin sensitivity. And so they go together. So if you have high blood sugar, that means that your insulin's not working correctly, or you're consuming too many sugars and it's taxing your pancreas of insulin. So as I've talked about before, you have a bunch of gas pedals in your body that raise blood sugar. You have cortisol, epinephrine, also known as adrenaline, norepinephrine, glucagon, which helps release energy into the bloodstream, and growth hormone can also do this. You have one brake, to slow down sugar in the bloodstream, and that's insulin. And then, so that's why I encourage and I talk about a lot, and I'm very, very into controlling insulin. And the way you control insulin levels, because it's so important. If you exhaust insulin levels, you run the risk of being diabetic or pre-diabetic, and then that's going to be a whole cascade of problems. And so we want to control insulin. And the way that we control insulin is controlling blood glucose. It's a big, big way. If we can stabilize our blood sugars throughout the day and we can keep them in a good lower state, like 70 to 89, that can keep us in this fat burning mode. And so cardiovascular activity can do that. And then high intensity interval training, can help us with insulin sensitivity. So that's also happens through a process known as EPOC, which is an afterburn effect, if you've ever heard of that, where when you finish the cardiovascular session, you actually are burning calories after. And so that leads us right into two forms of cardio. So there's two main forms of cardio. You have a lower heart rate in the presence of oxygen, so where you're breathing. This is a fat burn zone that you'll hear a lot of. So after about 15 minutes, your body can get into this oxidative phosphorylation system, which is basically just burning body fat for fuel. This is also called aerobic activity, in the presence of oxygen. And so this could be going for a nice long walk for 45 minutes to an hour. So these sessions, if you're gonna throw these guys in and explore them, anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes. That's kind of your one form of cardio. Your second form of cardio is going to be high intensity interval training. And so with this, it's shorter duration. It's without the presence of oxygen. So you build up lactate and you work on your lactic acid threshold. It's also glycolytic, so it's burning sugar the whole time. And so these guys need to be kept a little bit shorter, because the harder you go, the less amount of time you'll be able to actually exercise. So higher intensity interval training is great. It's great for spiking cortisol and then trying to just recover after that. So it sends a short, deliberate signal. I will caution you with, if you're doing a lot of weightlifting, a lot of training, and then your form of cardio is going to be high intensity interval training, we got to take into account that this is going to be a stress on the central nervous system. And so stresses on the central nervous system can run the risk of taxing the adrenals, and which can kind of have a cascade effect of causing some fatigue long term. So you're going to need to recover, right? So the more intense something is, the more we need to focus on our recovery. So those are kind of your two main big broad schools of cardiovascular activity. They're really just other forms of exercise, and we call them cardio. I mean, everything's cardio because a weightlifting session falls under high intensity interval training, and it could also fall under aerobic training too, depending on the individual. If you're going really light and you're breathing the whole time and you're doing, say, 25 reps or something, and you're not really burning up lactate, that weightlifting session could be called aerobic. So it's something to consider. It's obviously nitpicky that, calling cardio, that it's not really cardio, but it's kind of what I do as a health coach. So anyway, so with the high intensity interval training, there's a lot of great modalities out there. I've explored some really quick ones like 7 minutes, and those guys, I got great benefit out of them, and you can really empty the tank when you do that. So anywhere from 7 to 20 minutes is typically going to be where that high intensity interval training kind of modality lies if you're going to do those workouts. And that could be if you jump on a spin bike, something that I do here at home. Jump on a spin bike, you warm up for a couple of minutes, you just kind of get your legs pedaling, and then you do an all-out sprint for 15 seconds, 10 to 15 seconds, that's it. And you try to empty the tank. So 10 to 15 seconds, and then as the minute comes to a close, you got 45 seconds after that, you're just kick it down to a light jog, a brisk jog. And so from there, you just do 10 rounds of that. 10 rounds of that, you're hitting about 12 minutes in, and then you just do a 2-minute cool down. It's about a 15-minute workout. And so very quick, very effective. I've used that many times in the past. I've used it before photo shoots. I've used it, when I really needed to get lean for something. The issue is you could run into the overtraining thing if you're really low on calories. So you got to be feeding. And then with the aerobic stuff, the aerobic activity, we don't move nearly enough. And so if you're lifting a lot, you can walk, which is great. Your body can get used to it over time. And so you want to try and switch things up, just like anything. But movement is important. Motion is lotion to the body, no matter what. So having a great thing that you could do today is have a minimum step count. And so if you make a goal of 10,000 steps a day, that right there, you could do that in 1 hour session walking, but probably about 1 hour and 15. I get about 8,000 steps in about a 4-mile walk with the dog. So, but if you were to do that, or you could chunk it, you could do 3 10-minute walks a day. And so I want to get into some stuff that's going to talk more about health now. So now we know how to burn body fat, okay, which is create that deficit through your cardiovascular activity. It controls blood sugar. But some other health things to look at is walking and aerobic activity can actually soothe the central nervous system. And it does this by increasing respiration. Okay. And if you've ever been stressed out and you have people that say, hey, breathe, man, you got to breathe. Count to 10, count backwards from 10. Do box breathing, 4 seconds in, 4 second hold, 4 seconds out. All that is encouraging is the power of breathing and respiration. And so one of the things that's great and that I recommend to my clients, especially my executive folks, shout out to all the tech executives out there that I train. What I recommend they do is, because they're on meetings all day and it's a very stressful job. You got to communicate with a lot of people every day. You're just constantly doing 25 things at once, it seems, in that profession, is if they can go for a short walk numerous times a day, that can actually calm the central nervous system. And it increases your brain function. And so if we start to look at cardio a little differently as more just general movement, it starts to fall into this thing, this neat little word called NEAT, which is non-exercise activity thermogenesis, which is all the calories you burn when you're not working out. And so going for a walk 3 times a day could be your cardio. You can consider it that, or it could be creating movement. And movement throughout the day has far greater impact on your fat loss and your blood sugar regulation than just a short workout. Short workouts are absolutely important, but for overall health and wellness, this here in 2020, the biggest thing that I notice of all the health stuff I've learned is we're far too stressed out. Far too stressed out. We have too much going on. Life's moving at 1,000,000 miles a second. And so the big coaching tip that I have for people is to try and slow your roll. Try and slow down. And you can do that through short walks every day or a long walk every day. And so it's more than just burning fat. It's about de-stressing your body. And lo and behold, when you de-stress your body, cortisol goes down, epinephrine goes down. That helps blood sugar go down. And you can actually burn fat better that way. So that's a different way to look at cardio. Okay, so to finish this up today, we're going to use cardio to create a calorie deficit, and it can also increase insulin sensitivity. We have two forms of cardio. We have aerobic, which is more of a fat burn, long duration, low heart rate. It's easier on the system to do, so you can do more of it. And then we have high intensity interval training. Okay, that's also called aerobic, which is working on lactic acid threshold and you're not getting oxygen in. That right there needs to be shorter. If you guys want to start doing cardio this week, what you do is just start with anywhere from 1 to 3 times a week. And that's a very loose recommendation because cardio is not needed if you're already losing weight. I would just encourage you to get out and walk more, to move more, which is just good to push blood around the system. But the idea for burning fat is that we're losing 1 pound to 1% of our body weight per week. And so that's how you adjust your cardio numbers. And when you're losing weight, you can adjust cardio and go up with it. If you're not losing weight, you can bring your calories down if you want to do it that way. Or you could increase your weight lifting. Okay, so there's many ways to go about it. Cardio is just one little component to it. A lot of times I have clients that I'm not recommending a specific cardio routine. I'm just encouraging movement, going for hikes, here in the Pacific Northwest and getting out and living. And because of this soothing effect that just walking can have on the central nervous system. Okay. And running. There's a reason people get addicted to running. So you can start with 1 to 3 times a week, walk it up from there, make sure you're on track for your goal, whatever that may be. And then you could aim for just 10,000 steps and make it easy if you have a foot tracker, a step tracker. So consider the step count. That's great to really see where you're at for the day. A few short walks will be good for you. So with that said, y'all, that is episode 21 of The School of Shred, the one and only The School. And this is Shred Test approved cardio. So all these forms of cardio get a passing grade. You can catch me here every day at 9 a.m., Monday through Friday, on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, podcast app, and Spotify. So the podcast app and Spotify, you can catch us on there if you want to take us on the go. So please subscribe, write a review. And then if you guys are getting value from this, what I want you to do, please, is share this video. Share this video with people in your life if you're getting value out of this. This show is giving you free information to help you get healthier. And I want you to share this information with people who are also interested in the same thing. Help the show grow organically. Help the School of Shred. So that's it for today. I'll see you guys tomorrow. It's episode 21. Okay. And with that, I want you to stay strong and healthy in body. Stay relentless and energized in spirit. And stay determined in your pursuits. That spells shred. Now go shred your day and get better in every way. We'll see you tomorrow.